And one of the expressions of Hermeticism, one of the ways in which the individual came to discover his capacities as a creator, was through the art of alchemy, what could be considered an ancient occult art, the name of which is shrouded in a degree of etymological mystery. We don't know where the term alchemy comes from precisely. But before I get to that, because it's tantalizing and it's important to understand the origin of that word and what it means for our distant connection to ancient Egypt, alchemy was an ancient art that was practiced in the Persian and later different parts of the Mediterranean and Western world, that was an early effort on the part of seekers and proto-scientists to transform matter, gross matter, into finer matter. As you'll typically hear it said, lead into gold. And there was a physical dimension to alchemy, and probably there was a psychological and mystical dimension to alchemy as well. Everything in the ancient world was intermingled. There wasn't a difference between so-called science and spirituality. Astrology and astronomy were a joined art. Mathematics and sacred geometry, the use of number to try to unlock the code and the system of the universe, were a joined art. Architecture and worship were a joined art. Chemistry and mysticism in alchemy were a joined art. Now dig this. Alchemy is the root of our modern term chemistry. And the etymology of the term alchemy, where it comes from, is unsettled. But the great likelihood is that alchemy itself is a Latinized, a westernized phoneticism of ancient Egypt. The reason for that is that the term Egypt itself is really a Hellenic term. The way that the ancient Egyptians referred to themselves was through the hieroglyphic term Kemet, K-M-T, would be the phonetic pronunciation. Kemet means black land, black land. Egypt referred to itself as the Black Land to connote the muddiness and the fertility that the Nile River brought to the heart of Central Egypt. The desert, the outer lying regions, were referred to as the Red Land, where life was more harsh, less fertile. Al is Arabic for the. So there's every possibility that alchemy is a Western, a Hellenic, phoneticized version of ancient Egypt's name for itself, the Black Land. Ancient Egypt, the phonetic pronunciation that ancient Egyptians used to reference the Black Land was Kemet, Kemet, but we're not sure about the pronunciation. As in Hebrew, S's and T's were sometimes transliterated, and an early Greek phonetic pronunciation of Kemet is Kemi, Kemi. So when people speak of black magic or the black arts, that's thought to have some sinister connotation. If the etymology I'm describing is correct, it does not have a sinister connotation. But black arts or black magic would, in its purest form, be a reference back to the etymology of the word alchemy, the Black Land, the arts of transformation, both the transmutation of metals and materials from coarse to fine, lead to gold, as well as the psychological transformation, or perhaps better put, the psychical transformation of the individual as he or she moves through the concentric circles of creation, closer and closer to the nature of that which is, nous, mind. Alchemists believed, Egyptian alchemists, alchemists in the Mediterranean, the Persian world, again in this late Egyptian era, this renaissance of magical Egyptian thought that had been instigated during the reign of Cleopatra and that lingered for several generations thereafter. Alchemists believed that all matter went back to one primal substance, one great substance. Sometimes it's referenced that this substance was codified in the ancient Hebrew name for God, which I just happen to have tattooed here, Yod He Vav He, Yod He Vav He, the pronunciation of which has been lost, has been forgotten. Sometimes we call it Yahweh, sometimes we call it Jehovah. Religiously observant Jews will use the term Adonai, although acknowledging that Yod He Vav He is unpronounceable, is unknown. And according to Jewish lore, if one could learn the actual pronunciation of the term, one would become all-powerful. For some ancient alchemists, Yod He Vav He, whose pronunciation was forgotten even in late antiquity, was considered the name for this primeval matter, this first substance, this basic stuff that made up creation.